everyone. It's Amber Gunst, the CEO of Austin Technology Council, and welcome to our next ATC interview. And I'm very pleased today to have Craig Collins, who is the CEO and member of the board of directors for Logix Fiber Networks. And welcome, Craig. Nice to have you with us today.
Thank you, Amber. I am very happy to be here.
Wonderful. Well, how did you develop a passion for telecom? It's kind of an interesting and important industry, but not one I think a lot of us spend a lot of time thinking about.
You know, it's interesting. I wouldn't say that coming out of college that I was necessarily thinking about telecommunications as where I wanted to go. Quite frankly, I was chasing a dream out of college, playing basketball. I went to Penn State University undergraduate. I played 4 years there. I went and played a little basketball overseas and subsequently worked out with the Philadelphia 76ers. So never in that plan was I thinking about, wow, I want to go out and stare at wires and figure out switches. But the beauty was, and the fortunate part for me was a booster and an alumnus of Penn State took me under their wing, and he happened to be an executive at AT&T Communications and just kind of brought me into the fold, starting in AT&T. And, you know, I began doing pretty much everything from knocking on doors from a sales perspective on up to launching really one of their major first products, which was prepaid card at that point. So, you know, really just getting my foot in the door through that company, and it was a fantastic learning ground. And also meeting a lot of people through that in telecommunications just, you know, built my thirst for what's happened. And, you know, since then, you know, I've been in telecom for over the last 25 years in, you know, businesses such as Verizon, Time Warner Cable, a couple of CLEX, Exo Communications. Most recently was heavily in the wireless space with Transit Wireless. And now that's brought me to Logix.
That's wonderful. And I love that you commented that it gave you a thirst for it, because that's what I think everybody's looking for in their career, and especially when they're dedicating that much time to a company and their growth.
Yeah, and I mean, what's been so good over my career has been it's constantly been evolving and changing. From the 1996 Telecommunications Act, where they deregulated everything, to what's happened with the internet growth and just the sheer desire for bandwidth and communication, and obviously, you know, what's going on with COVID has just kind of you know, accelerated that. So it's been a good space to be in.
Well, and speaking of COVID, this leads me to my next question. How has it most impacted your industry?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. You know, this is an area where there isn't and wasn't a playbook for COVID. I don't think a lot of us really saw it ending up where it's been today. I think it was kind of like, okay, this is here, and we'll have, you know, some type of cure of you know, vaccines pretty quickly. And it's, you know, really gone on for quite some time, right? We're entering into a year being under the spell of COVID. It does look like things are going to hopefully come to some level of, I'll say, normality within the next couple of quarters as people get vaccines. But, you know, it impacted, especially over the year, because we're a B2B company, a B2B business, obviously a lot of our customers. You know, we have seen, you know, all kinds of different businesses that just couldn't survive, that you never really would have assumed. And we've been trying to figure out different ways and programs throughout the course of these tough times to support them. But we've also seen a lot of businesses have to close their doors, right? Bars, restaurants, you know, folks who, you know, just weren't able to sustain a long period of time in this type of situation. So we've had to, you know, figure out how we support the customers that we do have through this time. We've had to figure out how to manage through kind of customer downturn. And then obviously, you know, most importantly is, you know, what we've had to do with our employees. You know, the biggest thing is making sure that we keep our employee base safe. So we had to adjust very quickly to making sure that they were safe working from home. They had all the tools and systems that they needed to be effective working with our customers. And that was just a big adjustment that we made. The one other area, right, is, as you get your employees situated, it's how are we going to communicate with our customers moving forward. And especially from, a sales perspective, you kind of go away from, being able to walk up and knock on a door and sit down and have, a cup of coffee and talk about a customer's issues to, okay, I've got to figure out how I get you on a Zoom call, or I've got to figure out how I get you into some type of conference call situation and understand, what your concerns are and help you solve your solution. So a lot of adjustments, but, at Logix, we've done a fantastic job of it, and we're thriving.
Well, that's great to hear. Now, one of the things that I read about you is that you actually help athletes chart career paths post college. And now you did play basketball, but not all athletes go back and do that work. What led you to decide this is something that you were passionate about and you wanted and needed to do?
Yeah, I'll have to give most of the credit to my parents. My parents are traditional educators. I grew up in a small college town, Swarthmore College, which is outside of Philadelphia in Pennsylvania. And my parents were constant givers back to young kids. They ran the longest Upward Bound program for 35 years in existence, and it was all about giving back to kids. So it kind of set the framework for things that I need to do just in general, right? And I've been fortunate through mentors, and there were certain things even as I was an athlete that I wish were afforded to me. And that's what I'm trying to do now, is to take some of the skills that I've learned and go back, and specifically I'm working with Penn State. I'm kind of going and speaking to student athletes directly around my journey, pitfalls that I've had, things they should think about, but really just trying to help them and offer any time or ear to them to help them along their career path. But as an athlete, there's so many things coming at you all at once. And as I mentioned earlier, I wasn't necessarily thinking about telecommunications. Sometimes it's good to have that different side coming at you that you can hear from someone who's been there and done that.
That is great. And if any of those athletes want to eventually go into technology, we know a few people that might be able to mentor them and help them onto that path.
Oh, I appreciate that. Everything for my career, I've been blessed with a host of different mentors and good people, and I couldn't have gotten to where I've gotten without them. So I
Well,
love that.
mentorship is key. And you've mentioned that a couple of times now, and without it, I don't think any of us truly grow to our full potential.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the assistance.
Anytime. So tell me a piece of advice that you received, and this could have been advice you received last week. It could have been advice you received when you were 12 that still resonates with you and gave you pause to really focus on how you wanted to live your life.
In this, it's very simple, right? And it's held true is, treat others how you want to be treated. Um, and it's going either, whether it's going towards the mentor comment, or just in general how you want to run a business, and then make sure that there's effective communications throughout your organization and throughout whatever you're doing in life. If you're continually trying to look through the lens of someone else, and also recognizing, how do I want to be treated? How do I want to be communicated to? How do I need to make sure I'm understanding what's being asked of me? It's just been it's been a big driver of what I've done, and I've always tried to take the step back and say, okay, if I was in their situation, how would I want to be treated? So it just really comes down to treat others to how you want to be treated.
It's simple. I think we should all take that advice every day.
Yeah. Oh, thanks.
Simple is perfect sometimes. So we always like to ask why Austin. And over the last several years, Logix has put a huge emphasis into the Austin market. Can you share with us why our city is so integral to the growth of your company?
Yes, and number one, Texas is obviously a booming area. I mean, if you look across the country, um, out of what's going on, even with COVID, of the areas that are attracting businesses, Texas is huge, but Austin is just a prime area for growth, for new businesses coming into Austin. We've already started establishing, a fantastic network in Austin. We've got many of our buildings online in Austin, and it is just it's an attraction area, obviously for tax purposes or whatever, for businesses coming there. So we want to be able to obviously leverage our assets. We've got a data center which is very close to state of the art data center downtown Austin, and we just want to partner with those new businesses that are coming to Austin, and it's just a growth area. It's a great place to be. I'm fortunate to be sitting in Texas, and then obviously have Austin sitting there as well.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Craig. This was a great conversation to have with you. And we are so excited to have Logix as part of our community and supporting the Austin market. If you are interested in meeting Craig or anyone on his team, you can always email info@austintechnologycouncil.org, and we can help facilitate those introductions. Craig, thank you again so much for your time. And it was such a pleasure to meet you, even though it was just on Zoom this time, but hopefully in person soon.
All right, thank you, Amber. I look forward to it.
Thank you.